Let's turn our attention to this weekend's game. Spurs against Fulham at home. It's the Park Lane podcast and Barney Derby. So a little bit of banter between everybody, which is wonderful. But let's have a little chat, Callum, about Fulham, because I did mention earlier on in the show that I can't remember a single Fulham game, which says to me that, I'm not too worried about Fulham. How are you thinking this game is going to go on the weekend?
Is it at Spurs?
Yeah, I'm going.
I feel quite confident. We've still got to get a week of internationals out of the way first, so hopefully no unnecessary injuries or people playing when they don't need to. But yeah, I'm quietly confident on this one because I think that even though Fulham are playing some nice football under Silva, they've let their best goal threat go in Mitrovic. And as we know from Vinicius playing for us in the past, he's not great. And Jimenez, he's probably getting to the late stages of his career now. But I think Spurs will have to be switched on. They're going to have to definitely be aware that Fulham are a good counter-attacking team as well. They have a lot of pace behind them. And don't they have Adama Traore playing for them as well? Have they got Oil Boy down there or something like that?
Yeah,
so, not that I know of.
I think so.
Barney, let us know. I didn't think they did, but go on, it might do. It might have been a late bit of business. If so, I don't think he's played.
Yeah, no, he does play for Fulham, so they actually have Oil Boy on their setup.
Maybe he's injured.
Yeah, but no, I reckon it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a lot more memorable as a draw compared to how the other ones have been. So if we come out of it winning, then happy days, mate. Happy days.
Yeah, perfect. Barney has said, I'll be honest, our away form hasn't been good. This is Fulham. We've got to be defensively on our A game. Callum, what he will say is, from the 6 games I've seen, we can score goals from many areas. So looks like a definite improvement from Fulham. But I think, Harry, when you're talking about Adama Traore, I don't know if he's injured or just... He did play earlier on in the season, like very early doors. I'm not sure exactly why he doesn't play, but
he does pick up injuries, so I suspect he's injured. But Barney, if he can chip in on this, would be great.
Yeah, definitely. I think at home with the crowd back behind us after the international break, I think Spurs should, bar any kind of injury disasters, we should be able to get this one over the line. I think definitely home form is incredibly important this season, as the cliches go, and it's just about kind of keeping that consistency and getting through these games against, no offense to Fulham, but kind of a mid-table side, and really getting over the line. You talked about Jimenez, Callum, and I think unfortunately for him, he's never ever got back to that form since that horrific injury. And I think, unfortunately, it's just one of those things where you probably just a yard off it every time under the, unfortunate, instant that did happen. I think it's very difficult to put yourself 100% in every game. But, only time will tell. But we'll get to our score predictions in a minute. But Harry, what do you think about the Fulham game? I know that you and Barney are good friends, and you've been to Craven Cottage and whatnot. So, are you a little bit scared of this game?
Well, no, I'm not scared. It's just that me and Barney, he had the final say at Craven Cottage when we got knocked out on penalties, because I ended up seeing him the next day for our tour around Fulham. So I kind of feel like I need to get him back because I'm going to see him before and after the game. So I need revenge, if you like, Barney. But no, listen, no game in the Premier League is easy. Fulham, Barney can relate, are a mild force, if you like, under Marco Silva. He's a good manager, got them playing football. Obviously not as clinical and as threat in front of goal without Mitrovic, but you expect that. Mitrovic is a top striker. So yeah, you expect that. And then Jimenez, like you say, I don't think he's recovered from that incident, and he's just a yard or two slower to everything, and just isn't as confident with his head, where he scored most of his goals for Wolves, which is an absolute shame for him. But still, he will score Fulham goals, just not as much. I think it'd be single figures. Vinicius, I think, will chip in. So yeah, Fulham, I think that will be their downfall is because I think they create lots of chances and they do well defensively. I think it will be how many they can put in the back of the net. So I think the scoreline will be fairly comfortable. We must, put our best team out and perform to the best of our ability and leave everything on the pitch, because Fulham will go there looking for a result. Like Barney says, a draw will be an excellent result for Fulham, and they will believe that they can get that as well. So yeah, we've got to be on it. I think that we obviously win, but I don't think it'll be plain sailing.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to be tough. But a quick question before we move on is, coming back to you, Harry, is what should our front three look like? Because I think the rest of the side should be pretty much, safe.
Yeah.
Who are you going for your front three against Fulham?
Good question. I'd still stick with Richarlison on the left, just because I like to annoy some individuals. But for me, he's yes, he misses chances, but like every other striker does. But it's clear to see there's improvements there. Goal and assist against Sheffield United, and assist against Liverpool. And for me, he looked really, really dangerous against Liverpool. Just couldn't take his chances. Yes, he should have, of course, scored. But I think they'll come over time. As fans, our job is to get behind him and not dismiss him. So I'm going to start him on the left while he's got that confidence. Kulusevski on the right, I think, played his best performance against Luton. Not the biggest fan this season, but it's clear to see he proved it against Luton. Very, very key part of Angie's system. And Son up front, which, again, I wasn't behind, but he's taken to really, really well and looks a lot more dangerous and will get a lot more goals and a lot more opportunities to be the main man in that position. So yeah, I'd go with that front three, and I personally don't think that there's much you can change with that due to injuries.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much spot on, I would say. The only thing I can see potentially is Fulham sitting back a little bit deeper, which might cause Son some issues. The question is really do you put Son over to the left, put Richie in the middle, where he's probably as ineffective as Son might be with a low block. So it's probably
I think Richarlison looks good on the left, personally. Better on the left, I think. I
don't know. I'm not buying into that idea that he looks that good. I think at times he looks all right. I still think his touch is, for a Brazilian player, these, in the past, Brazilian players had a touch of flair. Their first touches were impeccable. For me, that's the one thing I do see that lets him down a lot, is the ball bounces off him and goes anywhere, rather than the rest of our players seem to be a lot more equipped to deal with that. But Callum, do you see any differences in the starting 11? Or the front three, I should say?
I reckon, you got Basuma coming out because he's suspended. So that'd have to be,
of course, yeah.
probably Højbjerg for me. I'd probably drop Richarlison, and if Johnson's available, I'd probably give Johnson a go. I think that, I don't know, there's just too much about Richarlison that's uncertain for me. And it's no discredit, but he really does struggle at the moment. I don't know whether you can really trust him to keep playing and missing so many chances. I think maybe dynamic super sub, give him a go and see how that goes.
Yeah, my only worry with Johnson is that, starting a player that's coming back from injury.
Yeah, you don't want to
starting 11. You worry about that. You'd rather bring him on late on and give him a few minutes. But Ange will decide, and what Ange says goes, I think, is the easiest way to look at it from here on out.
Yeah.
But let's go around the table then and go through our score predictions. So I'll give the score.
You can't change them though, surely, from last week.
You cannot. But I'll give the score predictions of the guys who aren't here. So Winnie, who is at the NFL today, has gone for a 2-1 Spurs win.
Same as you.
Dave has gone for a 1-1 draw, and Barney has
poor
also
Dave.
gone for a 1-1 draw.
That's what I bet
Harry.
he's saying because he thinks Robbie's going to play.
What are you going for?
I'm sticking with what I said last week. 3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs.
No, what was that H originally in the group chat? 3-1 Fulham.
It was a typo. Callum, you need to go to Specsavers.
We'll let him off. Callum,
No one
what score are you going for?
2-0 Spurs, mate. 2-0 Spurs.
Perfect.
Johnny, your comments are irrelevant. Everyone has more points than Callum. I mean, it's just obvious.
And I am also going for a 2-1 Spurs win. But Callum, I think you got a shot, mate. I think you've got a real shot. Like, the issue with your score prediction, right, or our score prediction, is that between me and Winnie, who have both gone for 2-1, and you have gone for 2-0, like, because there's that one Fulham goal in it, like, I can see the scoreline being around that. And then if you're 2-0 up and we concede late on, you'll be spitting feathers. But
it's all. I would. At the end of the day, mate, we just want Spurs to win. Simple as that.
Yeah.
We want to keep this run going. So it's literally just. It doesn't really matter about predictions. I just want a win.
Yeah.
I can't stress it enough. If we go into this period, just say we get 9 points out of the next 12.
Yeah.
What a run that could be leading up to the Christmas period and all that, mate. And then if we get through that, January's quiet. And then we can actually have this discussion again to see what position we are in the table, whether we are talking about where we're going to be or where we could be.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And I think it's about stamping your authority around this time of the season and really cementing yourself high up in the league. But for those of you who are still interested in how the prediction table is going, it's on the screen now. I am top with 12 points. Winnie's got 10 points in second. Dave has got 7 points. Harry has now got 6 points after correct score. And Callum is on 4 points. So all could change. And we could all gain some points advantage over Dave if we do win, because we all went for a win apart from Dave.
Isn't it funny how Dave thinks we're going to smash Luton, but drop 2 points against Fulham? He just can't make his mind up.
Yeah, but I predicted 5-0 against Luton, mate, or 5-1, and only because of Richarlison did that not come true.
Harsh.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the FPL League. Obviously, there's not been much change in the FPL League since last week, but there has been a few changes because obviously when the show goes out, by the time it goes out, sometimes the scores update and everything else. So for those of you still interested, I will go through that with you now. Brainy Paul is top of the league, 497 points. Big Dave from the podcast is second, 483. Winnie is fourth, 482. Oof. I am seventh with 456. So there's a big points
gap
difference building up now. H is ninth, 433. So there's a 23 points difference between me and Harry. Callum, 369, but you're only you're only 5 points now off Emmanuel, who is in 14th on 374, and only 10 points behind Steve Riformato with 379. So I reckon by the end of next weekend, you're going to be off the bottom. Also, we just had someone new join in, so they're going to go bottom pretty much, I would say. So doesn't really matter.
Callum will finish second from bottom. Oh, Luke, we've got another question in. Someone sent me a question. If you want me to read it out.
Yeah, quickly.
Yeah. It says, interesting to know your thoughts on the rumours of a Qatari takeover now the Man United bid has fallen through. Would you be for or against it?
100% against. Move on. No, I'm not interested in a Qatari takeover whatsoever. I think that we'd be selling our soul to the devil. Pretty much. I'm really not.
I don't think we need it now. I don't think now's the right time because there's a feel-good factor around the club. So for me, it isn't the right time to change ownership. That's all I would say.
Yeah. Callum, what are your thoughts on that idea?
Yeah, I'm not up for a Qatari takeover, and the one fact that a lot of people keep missing out on is that even if Qatari takeover comes, Daniel Levy's already said that he's part of the deal one way or another, that he will stay on as chairman. So a lot of people who have got him on their hit list to the top, he will still remain. So yeah, to be honest, it's one of them. It's so uncertain what you would get out of it, and yeah, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Unless something's going to happen, it happens. If not, move on, get on with it.
Exactly. And what a way to end the podcast. I want to thank every single person that's tuned in today, everybody that watches on any podcast platform as well. We're absolutely flying in the podcast views and listens. So thank you all very, very much for that. If you're new to the podcast, do not forget to hit the like button. Do not forget to subscribe either. Every subscriber really does help us out, and every follow and every 5-star review on podcast platforms really do help us out. Every view that you have, watch all the way through to the end of the video, and get your comments written in and all that good stuff. But let's go around the table and say big up to Harry Scarf. Are you on this week, Harry?
What do you mean on this week?
You have a YouTube channel, right?
It's your podcast.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, if you completely blank then. If you want to follow me, you can there, Harry Scarf 22. Yeah, I've got a show this week. Not a week after because we face Fulham. But yeah, tomorrow I've got a show joined by James Black. All the excellent songs, Basuma, etc. But the main one, I'm loving Big Ange instead. So we'll be playing that for him, a little surprise. We're talking to him the thoughts behind the song. And yeah, just generally, all your questions put forward to him and all the other guests as well. So it'll be an interesting one because, international break, sometimes there's not a lot to talk about, but it'll be, got James Black on. So it'll be a really, really interesting one. So don't forget to tune in. I'm here as well every Sunday, 7 p.m. As well, trying to think of any other update. I'm an admin for a new Premier League page on Twitter. Recently, that was yesterday. And also, I'm an ambassador for a Welsh club, Wrexham, which is good, girls and boys football, which is fantastic. So occasionally we'll make the journey over to Wales and support them with their fundraising, etc., because the values is shared. So yeah, fantastic. Don't forget to subscribe here as well. Park Lane Podcast, because we're not that far off 1K, because I know how much people enjoy listening to me. I know it's not as popular when Luke does it, but all the same, I'm still on it.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Harry. Callum, how can everyone find you?
At Callum Stubbs 97 on Twitter as usual, mate. Thanks for having me on, and I will be looking forward to the Fulham game next week after this turgid international break, as always.
Exactly. And you can follow me at Luke_Park Lane, but more importantly, make sure you subscribe to Park Lane Podcast and you follow us at Park Lane Pod across all social medias. Now, we should be back next Sunday night at 7 p.m, but I have a sneaky idea of something, which I haven't decided yet. So, watch this space on what may happen. We may be on Sunday, or we may be on Monday, but I will keep you all updated with what happens. So keep an eye on Twitter. We'll let you know exactly what happens. Either way, we will be here next week.
Luke hasn't planned it.
Same place, everywhere else.
We're clueless. We don't know what's going on. We're confused.
You've got to keep the people on their toes. You've got to keep people on their toes. But yeah, make sure you always here. Stay tuned in. And thank you all very, very much for watching. Good night, everyone.
Go,